This is Straight Talk with enlivening Greg Penn, the Preacher Man, and his sidekick Shannon Jones. Frank discussions of issues affecting the ATL, Fulton County, the state of Georgia, the nation, and around the world. And now, here they are, live and in living color, the team of Jones and Fan, the Preacher Man.
Welcome tonight to Straight Talk with yours truly, Greg Fan, the Preacher Man, and Shannon E. Jones. We're going to have our special guest, I guess, a regular guest, Brother Reverend Dr. Ronald Allen, along with Miss C. She'll be joining us a little bit. Now, Shannon's going to pop in. He's out there in the rain getting the weather report. I don't know why he won't be getting the weather report. He can see it's raining. But anyway, that's what he's saying he's doing. So we'll catch Lennon on the other side. He'll join us a little later on. But right now we're going to hear from Miss C. But we're going to talk about why they won't release the files on the Epstein case. Why all this diversion tactics to take us off from asking the question about the file. Where's the file? You say you're going to present the file. Why are we not getting the file? What's in those files that we can't get it? We don't know what's going on. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're back on the other side. We're going to hear what Ron's got to say. Then Shannon's going to hear what he's got to say. And you're certainly going to hear what I have to say. See you on the other side. We're out there. Miss C.
Hi. Miss C here with your 3-minute news blast or more or less. Listen. Oh, hey, Bishop Greg. Hey, Pastor Shannon. Good to see you. Listen. Just got the news that our own Bishop Greg Fan, the Preacher Man, will celebrate, along with his wife Vivian Fan, 45 years in ministry with an Agape Day celebration, August 17th at 10 a.m. Liberty International is located at 1362 Metropolitan Parkway in Atlanta. Greater New Fellowship Missionary Baptist Church invites you to the 26th appreciation of their pastor, Reverend W.E. Coombs and Lady Maria Coombs, on August 24th at 9 a.m. Come celebrate 26 years of faith, love, and community with us. The guest speaker will be Reverend Joseph D. Flint. Greater New Fellowship is located at 69 Cassville Road in Cartersville, Georgia. Flipper Temple AME Church at 580 Atlanta Student Movement Boulevard in Atlanta celebrates Women's Day on September 14th at 10:45 a.m. Our own Reverend Jackie Johnson will be the guest speaker. The Reverend Elijah Shafar is lead pastor. Call the church for more information at 404-522-5020. And listen, before we leave, I'd be happy to announce your event. Just email it to me at straighttalknews1362@gmail.com. That's straighttalknews1362@gmail.com. And also, before we go, please subscribe to us. And also, like us. Almost had a senior moment there. Like us, leave a comment, let us know how we're doing, and also share us. Let everybody know what you know. We're Straight Talk News, okay? And in the meantime and in between time, may the Lord God bless you real good. Bye now.
Well, welcome. That Ron is, I told you Shannon may show up later, y'all, but I got Ronald Allen here, and we're ready to go with our topics and talking, and Ron, it's so good to see you, man, as always this week. You know, he's getting to be a regular, y'all. I'm going to have to put him up there as Ronald Allen, a regular. I look forward to that. I can't put you that Ron Allen, a community activist. I'm about to say Ron Allen, a regular. Hey, Ron,
that's the best one.
Man? How you doing, man? How you doing?
It's been a great week. Oh, wonderful week. Yeah, did great learning today. Students are phenomenal. So we kicked off the new school year. We rocking and rolling, bitch.
All right. Let me, you know, Ron, one of the things I do like about you, you are one that's committed to history. and sharing our history with our young people and any people in any culture in terms of, because black people, we do have a history, even though they're trying to erase our history, but we do have a history, and we need to know what our history is, and we certainly need to pass it on as the Jews and everybody else do in terms of passing their history on. And I don't mean Ancestry.com either. I mean the ancestors who are here can tell us more about our history than going through Ancestry.com, right? Because your grandmama and my grandmama and my auntie and my uncle and all of them, they could tell us stories about their childhood and what they went through, you know. I know we're going to talk about the Epstein case, but I just want to, my grandmother, I asked my grandmother years ago, Ron, when I was, I guess I may have been, you know, I was an adult, I was an adolescent, should I say. And I asked my grandmother, I said, Grandmother, I said, were you a slave? She said, no, I was not a slave. Slavery had ended during her generation, right, when she was a little girl. But some of her brothers, older brothers and sisters, had been slaves, but she was not a slave. But she came out of that era when they were freed, but they really weren't freed, and they were sharecroppers and doing all those kind of things. They still was on the plantation, right? Because my grandmother originated out of Noonan. They found origin out of Noonan, Georgia, and then from Noonan to Fairburn, Georgia, from Fairburn, Georgia to Red Oak was a city. That's where my mother was born. And then College Park, Georgia. And then later we ended up in the city of Atlanta, right? But she told me their history in terms of, you know, I wasn't a slave, but, you know, we lived on this farm, and that's what we did. We planted. We did this and we did that. So yeah, and I got a chance to meet my grandmother's mother, who, when I was a little kid, I can't really remember her, but I know she kept us while my mother and my grandmother worked and my father worked. So I know that, you know, I can vaguely remember her, my grandmother's mother, but I know that she was in our lives when we were little bitty kids. So I just thought I wanted to share that a little bit in terms of black history and my family history, black history.
Well, we appreciate that moment. And one of the things that history taught me, one of the most valuable lessons for our community, is that, you know, as we modernized as a community, as we came into the computer age and we sought to have our community as modern and up to date as every other community, you know, one of the things that's always important, though, is to keep those ancestral ways as forms of your identity, to continue to maintain a lot of the traditions and heritages of the past, so that as you move into the innovations of the future, you move with the confidence of having your ancestors behind you. And I think that's something my generation can get in touch with a little bit more, maybe even the younger generations below me. Can we get back to some of those ways, like you say, of your grandparents, of my grandparents, of my great-grandparents, because these are the elders that touched Jim and Jane Crow racial apartheid. These are the ancestors that were enslaved or newly emancipated, and these are some of the watershed moments in our history that still shape our culture to this day, that still shape our intellectual and cultural outlook of the world. And so we need to have a mastery of our history beyond the interpretations of mainstream textbooks and mainstream pop culture, because what our ancestors experienced should inform our political and economic practices this very day. So I really appreciate that moment you gave us, Bishop.
Well, you know, I just feel led to do that, especially when I saw your shirt saying black, you know, because I think sometimes some of us, about like the young lady on The Imitation of Life, who was had a black mother, but had a white father, but wanted to pass for white as opposed to being who she was, and people recognize her as black, and how she, you know, disowned her own mother. her own mother brought her into the world because her mother was actually black. And she could pass for white, and so that I see a lot of us, we forget those kinds of real things in terms of our culture, who we are. We are very creative, innovative people. That have made it off of nothing, really, with the straps on the table and everything else, and have invented more stuff that we didn't have get credit for than Carter had liver pills. So we have to know and understand where we are with this. And I just wanted to just share my own experience with you, a young man, and of course, it's important that we know where we come from, who we are, and then most important, whose we are. We're children of God, the Almighty God. So, Ron, we're going to get ready to move into our topic now. I see Shannon is trying to join us on the outset. He's trying to join us now. And so he's going to give us a weather report. He's just getting out of the weather and everything. So we're going to, Shannon, what is that weather report? What's going on out there with the weather? What's happening with the weather, Shannon?
It's raining Negroes and white folk outside.
Hey, Ron.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that weather report. Look like it's still raining in the background out the window. That look like it. He's been a weatherman for a long time. Ron, what'd you say? What'd you say, Ron?
That was dynamic. I mean, right. I stay out that tight, inclement weather. Right? When it's raining like that, I'm better off indoors.
Let me tell you. Yeah, me too. You know, pop up a 51-year-old brother. You find yourself doing some strange stuff.
Yeah, well, your mic is breaking up and it's acting strange. But anyway, when we get into our topic for tonight, what's going on with this Epstein file? Why won't they release the file? Why are we getting all these diversions and going and taking over D.C. Police Department and California? Why are we now meeting with Putin? Why are we doing all this now? This is the news of the day, and there's no real mainstream news about the pedophile. Even after Maxwell get this cushion deal. I mean, a cushion deal after her attorney get with his friend who is an attorney in the U.S. Attorney's Office now with Pam Bundy, and now him and the attorney for Maxwell, they're buddies, and then and Bogan was Trump's attorney. Now we got a sweetheart deal. Boy, I know there's a lot of people in jail now where she was that's mad about what's going on, and there are a lot of people who are in jail who mad about what's going on. A lot of people who've gone to jail and have served time mad about what's going on. This lady's got a sweetheart deal in a minimum security, I mean not super minimum security facility. She can walk around and everything else. I mean, it's like what Talladega, the school with no wall. What was his name? C.T. Vivian, the school with no walls. I mean, you got the jail with no walls. I mean, come on, man. I mean, what's really going on? Somebody led. Now, this somebody led. Somebody led this channel. Now, I know you got something to say about you, everyone, but somebody alleged that she has been given a deal that if she keeps her mouth shut and don't say nothing, that when Donald Trump get ready to leave the office, if he leaves the office, the autocrat that he is, he's with Putin now trying to learn some more things about being a better autocrat, not about doing anything with Ukraine. But anyway, here we go. So here it is. What really is the deal here? That she can, this is going on, and he's going to, in 3 years, once he's going to pardon her. and then she's gonna be out for good. You can do 3 years. Man, if I was at a resort like that, man, 3 years, and they probably filling me on and everything. I mean, really? Oh, come on. Now, I just want to hear what you got. What's up? Where the files at? I don't care when the file. I don't care. I don't care if Bill Clinton in the file. I don't care if Prince Charles is in the file. I don't care who in the file. We need to see the file. We just need to see the file. You said you were going to produce the file. You said you're going to produce the file on Kennedy. You said you're going to produce the file on King. You said you're going to produce the file on Epstein. Where is the file? I'm done.
She eat more than filet mignon. She's getting everything she wants in that prison, or excuse me, that luxury camp that she's been sent to. And as for all the folks that didn't get her deal, they should have something on top. They should have something that would destroy everything that he has tried to build. The one thing that he perhaps has tried to hide through his catch and kill with the Inquirer and several other media arrangements that he's done all through his life. When you heard him talking to Billy Bush on that Access interview, he told you who he was. He told you what Ghislaine Maxwell has on him, and so many others. And so when you have this stuff on him, you can be moved to Club Penn. When you have this stuff on him, you can be brought to America for the first time in 10 years and lavishly treated. Red carpet rolled out for you, and on your way there, you can bomb and kill a bunch of Ukrainians. And on your way back, he'll be killing a bunch of Ukrainians because something on Donald Trump. You don't have to do a doggone thing Donald Trump tells you to do. You just use that Trump card for everything that you want. They've got the Trump card, and what MAGA and everybody else is asking for, MAGA unknowing, because they've been drinking Kool-Aid so much they have deified this man that they did not know that it wasn't just Bill Clinton. It wasn't the Clinton who was hanging, but it was him. And then here is Trump saying that Clinton has been to the island 28 times. How do you know that? How did you know that he's been to 28 times? And then someone has come out with a report that has not been substantiated yet, but highly said that Trump's plane has been there 37 times. So, excuse me, allergies acting up. I'm going to pause right there.
All right. Ron?
You know, President Trump, the dastardly courage, his strategy to smoke screen this Epstein scandal. He is betting on political destabilization, particularly in urban centers, places that voted for. This is his least popular electoral support cities. LA, now looking at putting troops in DC, heavy Democrats. The other cities he named, Chicago, Baltimore, New York, all of these have black mayors. He is pitting this country completely in a culture war. It is amazing. This destabilization effort is coming under a guise of a crime emergency that he is using, throwing dirt on communities that are in historic crime lows. Baltimore is in a 30-year historic crime low. DC is in a historic 30-year crime low. Chicago as well in a historic crime lows, with black mayors in each of these cities investing in low-income communities, public housing, and public school reform. And President Trump is sending National Guard and taxpayer resources to destabilize urban areas again, to destabilize areas of his own political opposition. And this is sweeping the news cycle, keeping that sweetheart deal that Ghislaine Maxwell was able to secure out the news, is going to continue to shield Trump when he does pardon her as well, because there would be, by that time, if he gives an additional 18 months between now and that eventual pardon of Ghislaine Maxwell, who is the main accomplice of Trump's former best friend, associated in, this may be the world's largest, certainly the world's largest sensationalized pedophilia case in history, in my mind. It is the scale of this level of worldwide child trafficking, of the level of the abduction, manipulation of young girls, even young white girls. Think about how the rich and powerful would even sacrifice the sanctity of white womanhood that has historically been a justification for the raising of black community, for the harassing of immigrant communities, and they will put that on the chopping block to satisfy the lust and the interest of these powerful white men, these financiers, these political heads of states, these economic captains of industry have absolutely controlled the levers of the economy, of the government, of the media, to whitewash, or at the very least have enough competing stories that continue to minimize the central impact that these characters are having on the industrialized world. It is absolutely a disgrace before God Almighty if we allow these, and it's hard to call them distractions because Trump is actively disturbing and destroying the lives of innocent Americans and even more human beings with this mass deportation effort all over the United States. With the latest budget that Trump just passed, ICE. I was just looking at some news media before we got on tonight. ICE is now the third largest funded entity, I believe they said, on the planet. That after the Department of Defense budget and after the China defense budget, that ICE is receiving the most. Think about that as a representation of our values on this planet. That it is way more, as soon as we say single payer health care, everybody runs for the hills, as that is the most illogical thing that you can imagine. But we will think that it is routine and standard to fund a government agency whose sole purpose is to conceal its identity so it can camouflage itself into workplaces, into schools, into homes to arrest and detain human beings who often, even if people are seeking illegal means to come into this country, can we please put that in the context of how our country has invaded foreign nations, as our country has toppled government in Central and South America, throughout Africa and the Middle East, and in Southeast Asia, we have had such an economic and political footprint on this globe that and is America in conjunction with the West, with the industrialized West, if we throw colonialism and expansionism and imperialism into this mix, that these systems have destabilized over 2/3 of the planet, that people who live in decentralized societies in places like the Amazon or the Congo now have to deal with encroachments from the industrialized world because our footprint and blueprint is now global, is now irreversible, that it is now impossible to live on this planet without contact with this machine of greed that continues to churn economic disparity and political destabilization. And so Trump is betting that he can destabilize the communities that historically America has always exploited. Immigrant community. I mean, it's amazing hearing his rhetoric on both immigrant populations and on native-born black populations when Trump consistently labels low paying wage labor as black jobs. He consistently says things like, we're not getting inner city workers, which is nothing but a dog whistle for black workers to take these jobs that migrants take. So the migrants have to take them. So he's really connecting and pitting communities against each other that have strong political and economic interests that are tied together. And all of this, all of his malfeasance, all of his perjury, all of his deceit is to hide the central dirt of what him and his cronies have done throughout the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, even up to the present day. So there we have it. And we are going to learn a lot about ourselves and what this system is really made of by how we resolve these conflicts. Because even though our checks and balances is supposedly the best in the world, we have yet to see the judiciary branch. The Supreme Court is not going to check any of Trump's executive orders, even though they have the power to do so. Nobody is checking what Donald Trump is doing at this point.
You unpacked a whole lot. But I want to grab one thing that the church has always been sacred here in America, religious freedom. But now Donald Trump has ICE going into churches now and grabbing people and deporting people. I just want to make sure that people understand the church has always been the sanctity, the sacred place. You don't go into the house of God to defile the house of God. But now they're pulling people out of churches from worship service. So I mean, this is real talk. And the other point that I want to make in terms of this whole thing, and Shannon, I'll let you jump in with this. I think we've forgotten in this whole Epstein thing in terms of the pedophiles, and you hit it. I believe it was you, Shannon, or maybe Ron, who talked about the victims, those ladies, those mainly Caucasian ladies, because those are the only ones we've been seeing that's coming forth. Is that we're forgetting those people, those ladies who have, as their childhood, they lost their virginity in their childhood, and now they messed up. They're messed up. Like for many people, if they were molested when they were kids, they're messed up adults now. Some of them couldn't shake it. They can't shake it. I mean, so what about them? How they're hurt? They've been victimized. Nobody's talking about them. And then we're talking about the Epstein files. And then with all the stuff to run, you're talking about, and it's true, because if people look at it from a big picture, for realistically, history has taught us how these things work, and we see these things played out. And Solomon said, nothing new under the sun. What has been will be. And we're sitting back and we're saying, okay, how are we going to deal with this? How is it going to happen? You know, we can't afford this. We can't afford that. We can't do this. We can't go here. We can't go there. Things that we used to be able to do, we can't do. People walking in fear for they're going to end up where they're coming to Atlanta and they're going to have the National Guards here. So the things we've been used to doing in Atlanta, will we be able to do it? You know what I mean? Just in these communities like California and in D.C., can you imagine how those people feel? You know, they walking down the street and they're seeing people with guns and uniform. People we're paying the taxpayers paying their salaries to imprison us. To lock us up, to do these things harmful to us out of our tax dollars. We're paying for this. This is hurtful. So what about the victim? We're victims now. What about us? What about us? We've been victimized by the Supreme Court, who has given him the authority to do whatever he wants to do illegal as much as he wants to do it. Then you come back and you're like, well, you know, he really doesn't have the power for tariffs. And so it has to be by the Congress. Congress has to approve tariffs. But you didn't mention that or talk about that before he did it, right? When he was talking about doing it, that's when it should have been said then. No, not just tariffs. Well, there's a lot of things he doesn't have the power to do, but he's done it, and he's doing it. Like National Guards, 30 days. He got 30 days to do what he done with power. I bring him in there. But then they said after 30 days, he has to go to Congress. He's saying he's going to do it and ain't going to go to Congress. He's going to go beyond 30 days and not go to Congress. When will it stop? And who will stop it? We have elected these people, and these people are there, and they're not vocal. They're not doing what should be done for the American citizen, the taxpayers who paying the freight of the cost of these people who are out here that's holding us hostage in certain cities. So with that, you know, Shannon, you I know you're ready, chomping at the bit to say something. Now I'm gonna loose you from the stable.
This is good. This is good. But let me quickly back into this. What makes Trump possible, and what undergirds Trump, and what has produced MAGA and the Tea Parties and all of that, white supremacy. In the late 1980s, perhaps the greatest hip hop that will ever be, Public Enemy, dropped an album, Fear of a Black Planet. There is fear of the browning of this country. And in that fear, folks have run undergirded by white supremacy to produce a Trump. Who is a white supremacist? Who's a racist? Who's a narcissist, a sociopath, and several other things that you could label him as. But the color that perhaps he goes after most is not green but gold, and it's what he's adorned his White House office over and over. Gold everywhere, gold toilets and whatnot on his plane, and gold toilets, and gold all throughout his Trump tower. And he'll stop at nothing to get gold. He'll use everyone. Ron very intelligently stated that we really, you know, it's a distraction, but really it's far more than that, because it's really a dangerous mass distraction, because he is actually destroying people physically and fundamentally, destroying communities and destroying everything to get to the goal of what he wants, which is more gold, which is more acclaim, which is more of everything to feed Trump. And he's using white supremacists. He's using toothless white men and women that think that he is their savior. He's using them to enrich himself. He's using the presidency. He's using, as you talk about the victimization of United States citizens, he's using the United States to get to the goal. Trump couldn't give you, if you put I can't say that because he's president. I don't need Secret Service coming by asking me what I mean by that. We always say someone couldn't say something if his life depended on it. We say this. Trump could not give you the preamble of the Constitution. He could not tell you right now, if you asked him if his life depended on it, just tell me the preamble, recite the preamble of the U.S. Constitution. He could not recite the preamble of the United States Constitution. Juxtaposing that against presidents like Carter and Obama and Clinton, they perhaps could quote the Constitution, but he couldn't give you the preamble of it. Now, we talked about the Trump card. We talked about because Ron unpacked a lot. That's a whole couple of shows that
absolutely.
Grab this Epstein piece again and say this about Ghislaine. Ghislaine also is intelligent enough to know that her lover, her friend, her compatriot, her co-child sex trafficking partner, international, very important international sex trafficking partner. She knows that he was killed on August the 10th. She also knows that was during Trump's administration. Not that Trump couldn't protect him, but during Trump's administration, she was killed. She also knows excuse me for coughing. I'm struggling to breathe this weather and everything right now. But she also knows that April the 25th, 2025, Virginia Giuffre, I believe I'm pronouncing her last name right, which is who was the chief witness against Epstein and she, and against Prince Andrew of the British royal family, the king's brother. Um, she was killed April the 20, April the April the 25th, 2025. Ghislaine Maxwell knows this. So she holds a trump card, but she also knows that she understands the fragility of her life. And a system and the Supreme Court and Congress and everyone in the executive branch, including the Attorney General, who is not only the president's former personal attorney, but functioning even in this role as Attorney General. She's still functioning as as Donald Trump's personal attorney, not the personal attorney to the office of the president, but she's functioning as the personal attorney to Donald Trump. Now, the Attorney General is not supposed to be even the personal attorney to the President of the United States. Her role is to seek justice and to combat injustice throughout the political system, throughout throughout the entire government, and throughout the entire nation. But that's not happening. So what's really going on here is you got a bifurcated issue. You got white folk that are afraid that they're being erased because Brenda's got another baby, and Brenda keeps having babies. Shaniqua keeps having babies. Every time they go in the store, Shaniqua got another baby. Shaniqua and Brenda keep having babies. Keep having them. The country keeps getting browner and blacker. And so we got to find a way to stop that. And so MAGA is trying to erase that. And you're going to see more about that. That's what's diabolically going on in D.C. It's a test. That's what's going diabolically being talked about to happen throughout this country, to wage war on not American citizens, but on American citizens in blackface and in brownface, not even yellowface, as they showed this week that there are Asians actively coming into this country illegally through Mexico and through Canada. But guess what? They're not popping up at Panda Express or popping up at Buddhist temples. They're not popping up where the Asian community is, Chinatown and all these areas, because they're not fearing a yellowing, but more so a browning and a blacking of this country. So that's I think on the bifurcation. The last thing that I'm going to say is on the other side of it, Donald Trump ain't the only one that went to the island. And he's not the only one. So then you got another stream of people that need a Trump to do what he can do for the 1%. And for the rich white 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5% of this country, they've got him doing some stuff to embolden and to strengthen their cause to be able to get more gold and to get more money. And several of them have been to Epstein's island. And I told you that you don't get to be a billionaire by just doing one thing. You become a billionaire by taking the millions that you've made and being able to invest in. Who has more money than Elon Musk? $400 billion. $400,000 million. $400,000 million. And for some gold, what did Trump allow him to do? Come in and run roughshod all throughout the government. And together, the billionaire class, through Trump and others, Putin and others, do not forget Netanyahu, who also has a Trump card, thank goodness, to Mossad and the work that Mossad can do to gain information around this world, and the financial community that is connected very much to Israel and what's going on there. So all of this wrangling what Trump is allowing several persons to do is to be able to gain what it is that they want to do. And the hefty price is to just make sure that you keep giving them more gold and more adulation.
Well, one of the things that we have talked about, Shannon, you and I, Ron's picture that Ron has left, his computer died on us. But one of the things that you and I've talked about was, as we talk about the billionaires, is the Heritage Foundation. And all those people who have come to be a part of the Heritage Foundation, frankly, most of them are billionaires. They come, and all these companies that we have patronized and have created this plan, this Project 2025 plan, and now they implement it. The plan that Trump knew absolutely nothing about. And we talked about Project 2025. We told people for months and months and months and months about Project 25 and what was going to happen, and it's happening. And people now seeing it. Sometimes it's like Paul Revere. You remember the story of Paul Revere, right? The British is coming, but the people didn't adhere to the warning that the British was coming. When we were talking about Project 2025, we were warning people that this is what's about to happen. If he wins, or if they had said that day one, whoever they know it as king, I'm going to say as king, they will have to implement Project 2025. They got Scott Miller there, who is the architect of Project 25, in the White House, in the cabinet, making sure that the plans of Project 25 is being implemented. And we, as a people, as American people, we are suffering because we did not listen. We did not listen. Like God told Noah, tell the people it's going to rain. It's going to rain. They didn't listen. They didn't listen. And now the aftermath is we're feeling the aftermath of our not listening. We're talking now about what's going on. Ron laid out a lot of stuff. Like you said, Shannon, that could be 2-3 different shows what Ron has laid out. But the reality of it is, brothers and sisters, it's a reason they're not showing that file. It's a reason they're not doing it. And people need to continue to press the flesh. Show us the file. Show us what's in the file. Let us see what's in the file. If you trying to be transparent, show us the file. The other thing I want to say is, and this is what I believe. When Mike Johnson closed the Congress, closed the House, right, on the House side, when he closed it down, so we'll come back in September. All right. So to give Donald Trump the opportunity to do the things he's doing, all of this stuff, that's this deception about this, and the other, and getting people worried about this, thinking about this, but forgetting about the Epstein file. Because this Epstein situation has kept in the news longer than anything that Donald Trump has gone through. Even though the indictments that he had, that it came, it left. It wasn't even. It was like bam, bam. Okay, he got him. Bam, bam, bam. He's running. He's winning. Oh, forget it. Because they find some way to talk about something else, or to talk about somebody else, or to Jones somebody else. I give you a clear one, Shannon. When they did that, the indictment. What happened when he was on that stage? What happened when he was on stage? Somebody shot at him. Then, so that became the narrative now. Oh, they trying to kill Donald Trump. They don't want him to be president. So all the information about all the felonies he has committed, that was left. The narrative now is somebody tried to kill him. Somebody tried to kill him. But they're good spin masters to get you away from what is really real, what's really something that people ought to be concerned about. What is the morality in this country now? This country becoming an immoral country. We're accepting of too much, and we're suffering because of it. And our children will suffer because of it. Our grandchildren will suffer because of it. Because we must stand up and we must speak truth to power. People say, well, truth to power, we speak truth to power, but we got to really speak truth to power. This stuff has got this Epstein case has got to continue to be talked about. He promised he was going to present the files. Where are the files? Where is the information? When will it be presented?
Bishop, people going to be tired of us talking about it, but we can't. If we get off of it, we would lose our perfection. Because when people find out what it was, they're going to see, wow, fire shut up in their bones would not let us get off of this story. Like we didn't get off of Project 2025. People get, man, y'all just keep talking about Project 2025. Now, they're like, oh my God, he's doing Project 2025. We have to stay on the Epstein story, because the Epstein story it has a lot to do with, it has everything to do with Donald Trump, but it has a lot to do with not just Donald Trump, but some of the other things that we have not seen. This is getting ready to open up the world of the 1% to the masses. You're not seeing not just about sex, but there's other, I believe, diabolical stuff that's connected to that. And that the sex is terrible enough. The child trafficking and the harming children, the victimization of minors, the victimization of people who are not minors, but were economically in the state that someone could use them. And so that's extremely serious and dangerous and destructive and a shame. There's so much to this Epstein that the shoe is getting ready to drop. If people like us prophetically stay on it. The last thing I want to say, congratulations for 53 years in ministry and 45 years as the senior pastor of Liberty Church, Liberty International Church. And you're going to be celebrated on this coming Sunday. 45 years there, but 53 or 52, 53. 53 years of fasting. Man, that's a lifetime. I'm 51. So you were doing this, about 24 months before I came into the world, and you stayed steadfast, and you've stayed mustaqim, the straight and narrow path. You continued on the straight and narrow path to be Bishop Greg Fan, the preacher man. And so you're an institution in our community, and we celebrate you now. And we pray many more years ahead, many, many, many more years of you leading and doing what you do as a beloved minister, activist, counselor, strategist, and the list goes on and on. You know what? I've been to Elijah Mays. I've told you every year that you have to be a Renaissance man, that you can't be a one-trick pony, that you have to have varying skills, and you certainly are a Renaissance man. And so we celebrate you, sir, and we love you. God bless you.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Pardon me, say that. I'm sorry. I didn't hear the last part. I was thanking you.
Your lovely wife, this is Vivian, for standing in the gap and co-laboring with you.
Well, thank you, and she thank you, and I really do appreciate my wife and her commitment to be my wife and continue to deal with me as I deal with the things of the world and the people of the world. Because one of the things I say, and I teach this, is that in the 25th chapter of the book of Matthew, 42nd, starting 42nd to 40, this verse, she said, if you didn't feed me, if you didn't clothe me, if you didn't visit me, you're going to hell. So, and I'm not worried about who can harm the body, but the one who can harm the soul. Because the most important thing to me is why I'm going to spend eternity. And so I do what I do because I believe in him who lived, died, resurrected, and coming back again. Man may do what man may do, but what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul. And this ain't been nothing but straight talk with yours truly, Greg Fan, the preacher man, Shannon E. Jones, and Ronald Allen. Ron had a little technical difficulty, had to drop off at the end, but we love Brother Ron and his commentaries. And listen, don't forget to like us, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to do those things, make comments. And if you'd like to be on the show, please let us know. We'd love to have you on as a guest, and just enjoy life and enjoy what God has for you. And don't let the devil fool you, and don't get me to see about what the devil's trying to do, because God is not through with blessing us yet. No matter who's in the White House, God is still yet in control. Well, millions have come and millions have fallen, but God is still in control. Well, until next week, this ain't been nothing but what? Straight Talk.
Want to be a guest on Straight Talk? Email Greg Fan at FANN922@Comcast.net or call 404-308-0795. Join us again for another episode of Straight Talk with Shannon Jones and Greg Fan, the Preacher Man.